Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Oasis. We've been building some random stuff. I was starting to do a stairway, so I can connect to that. We're starting to get some pretty interesting trees in the Oasis, and we've got books. So, one thing I wanted to try to accomplish with today's episode, or one of today's episodes, I don't know how much I'll be doing, is getting some shorts material. I keep saying I'm going to do that, but if I actually label it this time, and now I have books, so let's go ahead and prepare for it. We'll go ahead and discuss it, and then I'll try to think of like something like, some gimmick like, hey, this is the relative relevancy and irrelevancy of labels, or, go up to another ladder. Yes, we're gonna do it. Oh, oh, see, already. I got that controller drift, so it auto went to the left. See, this is why we test these things out. Testing and production. Hey, binary bias is a label. No, see, I don't know. And actually, binary bias is kind of it's like a shock word anyway because there's so much discrepancy around binary, um, in the sense of gender identity. But in the sense of computer science, it means yes or no, or presence of electrical charge or absence of electrical charge, or yes, it's set, or no, it's not set. Either way you want to look at it. Um, Actually, as I say that, oh, my mind hurts a little bit thinking about it. So the way I understand it is, yeah, ones and zeros, but then how you tell if it's a one or a zero, it could be one of a couple of things. Um, because I want to say, like, the reason magnets were so bad, and they still are, you don't want to put a magnet next to electrical things, just in case. Like, it's just a good thing to avoid. And the reason that a lot of people in my generation learned that was they had something utterly destroyed by a magnet. Or they watched Fight Club and they saw that they did that, and they back when Blockbuster was a thing. And for those of you that don't know what a Blockbuster is, that's where we used to have to go to rent movies. And so, I was thinking about that too today, like just the amount of technological advances in my lifetime. So I'm mid 30s. I was a child of the 90s mostly, and then the 2000s I was off being a knucklehead trying to figure things out, and blah 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 blah. I'll release memoirs one day, down the road. You don't need to be knowing about that yet. But but no, just think about it. Like cell phones, they did not exist before I was born. Before I was born in the mid '80s, um, yeah, cell phones did not exist. Car phones barely existed. Radio phones, sat phones for like military were high tech and very expensive, and they were like or they were basically like the first cell phones. And in fact, I remember having little army men, little plastic toys, and they had a dude carrying a radio on his back, and that was the first cell phone, basically a sat phone or a satellite phone, which would only work when the satellite was right above you. Now, satellites were still relatively new. Um, Actually, I might be messing this up horribly too, and that's why my gener my generation and the generation like above me, like this last couple of centuries. There you go. Now that encompasses a lot of things. Like 200 years is a very short time, especially you talk about world history and like all the different wars, and really we focus on the wars. Those are the big notable changes in society. Whereas like the wars and the Renaissance, I feel like, and I did a lot of art history. Um, I mean, yeah, there were definitely different distinct units, like the Baroque era and the hold on, what do I want to hue? Romantic era and like all this. And I'd have to look it up. It's been years since I've even studied that, but um, there were ways of classifying. Let's see, we do already have a pumpkin. We don't really need. Yeah, I'm overthinking it. Let's go and do a couple pumpkins. Why not? It saves us a trip back to the other place, and so you don't keep trampling things, and we respawn. Get some leathers. No, I feel like did I break that? Like, did I swing that wide? I don't know, because I don't think you can stomp them. I think I had to swing wide, or maybe I don't know. Or it could have spit too. With its dying breath, it spit at me, because they do that. Anyways, back to cell phones and stuff, like communication. And and honestly, with communication, I really do believe, present events excluded, I will say. Like the whole Gaza Israel thing, it's a total mess. It's a nightmare, and I don't even know how to begin fixing that. However, I feel like I know a good way to keep it from happening in the future. And I started to touch on that already in this Oasis series, and that's basically a lot of my side projects, not just mine exclusively. Like people out there are all trying to do this. It's also you can see it in the open source movement with computer science. Wait, that doesn't seem like a good idea. Oh, whoops. Controller drift. Okay. Oh, really? We can just do. And also, if we want to go faster, there you go. Multiple ways to do things. That's another reason I love this game. Like you can do. It's just so easy to show how, and even in life, there's different ways to do things. Like for everything from turning on and off a faucet to, how you pick clothes up off the floor, or do you flick them with your feet, or whatever. And like, do you incorporate your hands and your feet in daily chores? Are you a monkey person? No. I don't know. It's just things that growing up, we used to learn from watching like old cartoons or Looney Tunes and stuff like that. Whereas now, kids have so much entertainment at their fingertips, like just instantly. And granted, there's a lot of discrepancy of what to really allow them to watch, and like how much parental guidance and this and that, and you know, whoops. I mean, my standard was I was killing Nazis in first grade, and I didn't really think much of it because it was patriotic like that. My dad was all military, and like like not all. Like I say that he was in the military, he wasn't all about it. So, but I mean, it instills a sense of pride and honor, and one that I respect for others, but don't experience myself. But um, I would like to make it where nobody has that sense of pride, and it sounds pretty messed up. But by that I mean nobody should be willing to fight to the death for their country. Seriously, that sounds super unpatriotic, but nobody should be willing to die over materialistic things. Now, if it's to save people from dying, then yes, but I feel like most of our wars right now are just being fought over management discrepancies. Like that's Gaza, Israel, like, oh, this was our land, we're here, and like, oh no, this, we deserve to be here. And then they're trying to, and sorry, that is a gross oversimplification of the situation, but it's basically the idea, and that's what everybody focuses on is they need a summary to make a decision or even to have an opinion about something. Now, I do know a little more about certain aspects of certain things. Like, I mean, and I had an outside perspective all through college too. I had roommates from Saudi Arabia that they got their news from somewhere else. Like that time when the U.S. bombed a hospital. Like, yeah, we did it once. I mean, we did. A missile hit a hospital of ours that we shot, and like I'd have to look it up, but we didn't really publicize it because we're supposed to be infallible. And granted, I'm not trying to speak ill of my country. I love my country. I am very fortunate, probably one of the most fortunate sets of people on earth to be born in America. Now, you can also thank some of my ancestors for part of that because, like I said before, I have ancestors that worked for like NASA, the railroad, whatever. But I really don't care about my name. I don't even know if my name's real because I have a bunch of Irish ancestors. And one of the tricks that they used to do, to stay in this country was make up a fake name. You know, I have a very generic name, super generic, so generic it's most people's first or many people's first name. So like, no, I mean, granted, it's the pride thing and the pride cometh before the fall. Now, pride's totally fine in certain situations. It's a natural instinct to have, so you can find a suitable mate and you can create, a healthy family and provide for that family. And that's why we get so confused because the whole toxic masculinity is when people don't know how to turn that off or just, put a pause on it. Be like, all right, chill, chill. And that's one thing that, definitely growing up a BV demon, I had a hard time with because we just destroyed people in football. And it got to the point where it was just expected. Like, if we were beating people by like 50 points, it was a bad game, and what can we do better? I mean, that's just the kind of level of like, all right, so we're here now. And that was the same with gymnastics, too. We had a 5A gymnastics team. Um, and it was just really like there wasn't a lot going on up there. Like yes, we had the beautiful 14ers surrounding us. We grew up with beautiful mountain views. It's good view. That's what Buena Vista means. It's Buena Vista is good view, but that's kind of offensive because anybody that grew up there, the identity of it is Buena Vista. We didn't know about the Buena Vista in California. We didn't know about the Buena Vista in Mexico. We know, hey, I'm from BV. Where are you from? Oh, Leadville or Salida or, like if you're getting really risky and going even farther away from that. Because again, when I was growing up, we didn't have things like the internet. Yeah, that's right. We had dial-up. Hold on. Oh shoot, didn't get some water. I'll muddle through this one. 10 minutes. Jeez. But no, I mean that was one of my first experiences with technology. Was I sat on tech support for 6 hours setting up my family's dial-up, and we had Amigo.net. Amigo, your buddy. You know, to people that didn't even speak Spanish. I learned Spanish in high school because I took it for 4 years. I was excited to learn another language. I thought it was like computer code, and I did learn computer coding as well. I took computer electives by choice, and um, and I was fortunate that we even had that. And Buena Vista is a town of maybe like 2 to 3,000 people. I think it's still down there, like maybe getting up to like a little more because it's starting to get popular with South Main, which was weird because I feel it was like East Main or West Main. Wait, where was that? East Main, but they call it South Main. I guess it is south of Main Street, but it's like super east. Like if I was going to use a direction to describe it, like South Main could describe all sorts of things. It's not a very scalable title, I would say. Now, unless you plan on building projects the entirety of South Main and make, I don't know. Anyways, it's human thought. You know, the problem was solved for them. Maybe even they thought it was an edgy title that was good, but as far as I know, they're overpriced homes that they cut corners building them, from what I hear. And I actually got to walk around in them. I don't know if we were supposed to, but I did with some family friends too. And mind you, I was family friends with the chief of police, so like he wasn't there, but the similar people that would hang out with him were walking through this house. It was under construction. There was nobody there. It was after hours. Hold on, I gotta get some water. One sec. Okay, and right there, what I'm thinking as I'm pouring my water. What we could do, and I can actually edit that out. I can find the exact moment when I set the controller down, go get the water. Cough, burp, all the other things I did off camera, whatever I did. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. And I can do that. I don't need a bunch of equipment and gear and everything. I could just edit the video like that. It's insane. Granted, do I? No. And I am going to. That's why I wanted to record some shorts. But think about that. The friction in learning has been so much removed that back in my day, um, if you wanted to watch an instructional video, you had to get a VHS tape and then maybe DVD if it's that point in time. But like, for a long time there, I just had videotapes, like actual tape rolled around 2 cylinders, and they had the little images of the movie on it. Like you were carrying like thousands of pictures rolled up on a roll. Basically, that was the technology of the time. And granted, there was some silver in there, other expensive materials, and it took a lot of money to develop that and to have people build that and maintain it and then the copyright thing. But now we don't have all that. A lot of that friction and the expense and the cost for these things, it's all gone. Everything's like indie gaming and indie production. Like, look at Minecraft. Some dude made this in his basement, I think. Like, what was it, Notch, or I forget. I used to watch I think Waddles does a decent amount of history, Minecraft history, and then I've seen a lot of Minecraft videos on YouTube for free. I mean, granted, I have to sit through an advertisement, which, and let's face it, advertisements, they went from 30-minute segments, 30 minutes. Or wait, no, sorry, 30 minutes. 30 minutes was the show. Sorry, the actual commercials were about 3 minutes, but that stunk. Or at least, like, I want to say like 10 minutes, maybe 3 breaks of 3 minutes and some change, rounded out. The actual show itself was usually only like 20 minutes, I think. I don't know. Well, we would just get up, go do stuff, and we would constantly be missing like the beginning or the end of, or just the beginning of like each segment. Like, it was ridiculous, and that was just things that we suffered through. Like, oh, that was our hardship. Granted, I know if you look at history, world history, actually current history, there's places that's just blasphemy to even be like talking like that. And I know, I acknowledge, but we're getting there. Trust me, we are getting there. There are so many people out there bent on fixing this world. That's it. And I feel like it's human nature, honestly. The more that I meet people, the more I talk to different people from different cultures, different walks of life, even within our own country, like being ever the little sociologist, like, not intentional, just like I just happen to know a lot of groups of people. And because again, Buena Vista is a prison community. Like, we know prisoners, inmates, and like, oh, well, what, did we ever go talk to them? Well, yeah, we got scared straight, and we got to talk to inmates. That was our field trip, one of them. We did that, well, I remember one specifically, but I feel like we did it a few times. But yeah, for a field trip, we got to go to the prison and see, well, this is what happens if you make mistakes. Well, that's what it's really called. It's you make mistakes. You let your emotions get the better of you. Um, and actually, just about every crime, every criminal behavior can be traced back to you let your emotions overcome you. Now, you were either really depressed, really your judgment was skewed. But why was it skewed? Were you using substances? Were you drunk? Were you on, substances? Like, and I consider alcohol the most dangerous substance. It really is. So, anyways, because it's so widely pervasive in the culture and society, because, well, up until now, we haven't had a better alternative. I mean, it definitely has its reasons. I mean, it is a fun drink, and it does like allow you to party hard and get loose. However, super easy to abuse and super easy to go wrong, very wrong, like deadly wrong. Like you're talking DUIs, causing deaths, crashes, like your car is destroyed, all because it was more convenient for you to drive. And that's the shame of it. I lost my grandpa to a drunk driver. So yeah, that's the thing. Also motorcycles too. He was on a motorcycle. I lost a friend up here in Fort Collins. I was actually just playing laser tag with him and his kid the weekend before he died. Actually, I think it was that weekend, to be honest, because I was texting him and he just wasn't texting back. I was like, all right, whatever, he's busy. It's cool. Like, I didn't even think anything of it. And then later I see on the Facebook, R.I.P. so and so. It's oh, what? No, and I had to think about it. I was like, wait, is this someone else? Because I was literally just with this dude. So, anyways, and that can happen. That's one of the downsides to technology and instant communication is when bad things happen, you find out pretty quick. Granted, there's some debate about that. Like, do you want to hide your head under a blanket and be like, hide from the truth, or do you want to face it head on, or whenever you're ready? I mean, you really got to be ready for it, and then you're never going to be fully ready. Then you get into what's known as like analysis paralysis, and that's like easily thought of as like, when you're remember the younger days when I'm about to jump into a sketchy situation, like maybe jump into a lake that I don't know, or maybe I don't know how cold the water is. And sometimes in Buena Vista, that actually was potentially dangerous because I remember one time I went swimming in, I think it's the, no, this is bad, swimming in the Arkansas. I'm pretty sure it's the Arkansas. We just knew it as the river, we just go swimming in the river. But anyways, and it's been about a decade since I've even been back to BV. I think. Wait, when was the last? Anyways, not important. It's you're analyzing and you're keeping yourself from actually doing it. You're keeping yourself from jumping. You're like, okay, and go, and on the count of three, and you know, and you don't like. I mean, there's risk. There's risk involved there. And then you get into things like mob mentality and like if you're with your friends and stuff, then oh maybe actually let's go mining. Let's go drop off some of this stuff and go mining. But we're into a pretty heavy muse here. We'll do the shorts maybe in the next one. But yeah. So well, shoot now. Shoot, dang! Now I lost my train of thought. It has left the station. But no, we learn by example and we lead by example. As soon as we think we have something figured out, we rush to go tell it on high. Like, go shout it from the mountain. Like, go tell everybody. Like the people gotta know. I mean, and that's the thing. There's a lot of embarrassing moments, myself included, recently, where it's like I think I'm doing something great, and I do something amazing. I work, I build something, and it's like, oh, only to find out it's already been done. In fact, South Park has an episode about how The Simpsons has an episode about everything. Literally every idea that you could have for a comedy show, The Simpsons has done, and it's almost true. Like The Simpsons has done so many ideas, so many things, redone ideas, like recycled ideas. And then South Park has not really ripped off the ideas. It's almost impossible not to rip things off. It's not like they did it intentionally. It's just like, oh hey, this would be really funny. Oh wait, but Simpsons already did it, and then they have to like toe the line of copyright and what's okay, what's not. How much does something have to be changed before it's considered an original piece of work? And again, this all ties back to, is it necessary for survival? Like, do you really need all those royalties and copyrights? Like, do you? And that's what I want to tell, like, every famous person. Like, do you really need millions of dollars? Like, millions. I'm talking millions. Like, thousands, okay, but millions? I feel like anyone that has more than $1 million should just not. Like, it should just go back. I mean, there's no point after that. I mean, granted, I know, because back in the day, we used to have to worry about things like that. We used to worry about our champions to come and build like the next great thing, like, or a huge philanthropist that just has more money than they know what to do with, and they're gonna, I want something named after me, so people remember how great I was. And then when people look back at this thing, they'll be like, I remember how great so and so was. Only they won't. They'll be like, oh, what's the guy's name that did this? Oh, huh, okay, and that's okay. Like, can you imagine trying to make sure everybody is unique and special and memorable? Like, that's kind of a depressed way to look at it, but then again, it's not. Because imagine it, it takes the pressures off, the stresses off of like, you gotta still shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you land upon the stars. But that's okay if you don't become a star. Like, and actually, I don't know. Like, I, s- the more I get familiar with communication technology and all this stuff and all these things that I'm talking about, the more I think like anyone given the right situation would be great. Because humans, it's human nature, and this all ties back to Neil deGrasse Tyson. So it is important people's names now, like when they're living, because it's like, yeah, like, but when they're dead and gone, unless there's really an afterlife, which, and even then, if there is an afterlife and I'm looking down and like someone's like, "Wait, who's that dude?" Oh, it's that dude that made those Minecraft videos, and he always be randomly like muttering to himself, and then every now and then he'd have a good point, but it would be mixed in with like 10 minutes of just mush. I'd kind of chuckle and be like, "Yeah, I did that." But would I care that, oh, it's P. Rodriguez Allen or whatever? Like, no. In fact, I get a lot of that anyway, having multiple first names. So I've kind of been jaded from it. Like, it's like, yeah, close enough. Like, at least if can tell you're trying, or if you make the mistake, you're like, oh, my bad, or my sorry, or I'm sorry, my sorry. But that's the other thing. It gets awkward really quick if you overly apologize. And that's the thing. It's because older generations, it costs a lot of time, money, and effort to send a message, to send a communication. Even in my youth, a text message costs 10 cents. So if you're trying to talk to someone, like you're trying to you're trying to go hang out with someone, it's serious. Like, man, I don't got all this money to go be like talking to three different girls. Like, if I'm talking to you, dang it, I'm risking my parents getting really mad. They're gonna be like, you ran up the phone bill, and I can only do that so many times, and then be like, whoops, I forgot. Because after a while, they'll just take the phone, and that's the thing is like, and then people have to do sneaky, underhanded things like that because there's a finite amount of resources now. There's not a finite amount of resources like there is, but we are so efficient with what we're doing that we're stretching things farther than we've ever done. We're reducing, reusing, and recycling like it's going out of style. And again, in my lifetime, I remember we used to go out to Portland, Oregon, and recycling was mandatory out there. You had to recycle, and we didn't do that in Colorado. We were like, a bunch of hippy dippy stuff. Like, same with California. All these hippies trying to do all this like hippy dippy stuff. Like, but no, I mean, it makes total sense now. It's just we didn't have the capacity to understand this solution to a problem that they were trying to do. Same with now. I mean, granted, California is like way too expensive for like the majority of people to live there, and most of them are coming to here because we're catching on pretty quick too. And I don't know what the circumstances are. Like, we're just so high up in elevation that only the most renegade type people would really risk being up here, which brings about the most innovation and change because not only are we thinking outside the box, we're playing hopscotch with the box, including laws and regulations and everything. Like, for better or for worse, like, it's what you got up here. I mean, it's almost like the lawless or the Wild West. I mean, even within the last couple hundred years, the America has experienced a land of lawlessness right here in Colorado. Like, in fact, my family are we could get those pioneer license plates. That means my family we can trace our lineage to living here for so many years, like over 100 years or something. And like, but do I want to spend that much money just to tell people that I'm that much better than them because of something that my parents and my parents' parents did? Maybe they were just lazy. Or maybe they couldn't afford to move. Like, I mean, why would you really want to though? Colorado is awesome. Don't move here. There's no room. No, I'm just kidding. Um, Because even that, we're figuring that out. Our homeless situation, like people experiencing homelessness, and a lot of that's thanks to COVID. Like that kind of normalized homelessness to the point where once quote unquote normal people without drug addiction and without horrible PTSD or not being a veteran that actually like physically killed somebody and took someone's life that messed them up. Like yeah, normal people were becoming homeless, and it's sad by the way that we treated, our vets and just homeless people in general like that. But at the end of the day, as somebody who has dealt with homeless people a lot at Subway, we had our regulars that basically lived outside our store, which, and granted, yeah, we had everything. We had a liquor store right there. We had a Subway. Like, we had people coming and going that felt would take pity on you and give you some money. But then, like, sometimes I feel like it took its toll too much. Because one of the Subways I worked at shut down, and I feel like there was homeless people around every Subway. It was just a good business model. Like, hey, here's a sandwich shop. I can get my food. They usually have a cardboard box bin now because it's illegal in Fort Collins to throw away cardboard. So, granted, I remember what I was just saying. We used to go to Portland, Oregon when I was a little kid, and I'd be like, man, I wouldn't say that because I wouldn't be mean to my relatives. That's just a prick move. But, like, I was thinking to it. I was like, man, why? Why are they doing this? And they could tell, too. I could tell that they could tell. They'd see the look on our face, like the look of disgust. Like, really? Another thing we got to do? Like, we're already doing a lot of stuff. I mean, can't we just, like, sweep it under the rug and put it in a landfill? Like, granted, I remember hearing my buddy say, "Well, I just throw plastic bottles in the campfire. It just burns up, and we don't have to worry about it." And it's horribly wrong, by the way. That causes fumes. Melting plastic is not good for you. I'm pretty sure that causes cancer, but like, it definitely causes health issues. I mean, you're not supposed to inhale burnt plastic. Like, same with anything burning. Like, you're not supposed to inhale smoke or carbon dioxide or burning fossil fuels or, just burning things in general. It's not. That's why we have nose hairs. That's why we have cilia in our lungs. We have these little fine hairs that. Actually, hold on. Oh, and back when I was a cigarette smoker, I'd have tons of just like hacking up tar and everything. But cilia, I think it's something like 5 years of not smoking. It like removes all the tar or something, or some statistic like that. Statistic. But, anyways, no. Like, burnt stuff isn't good for you. And burning trash, someone else was talking about this. I think it was my mom. Like, there used to be incinerators at homes. Like you could just burn your trash in the back. And then there was a time when we'd joke about, oh, someone's burning trash, and I think Simpsons even poked fun at it. Like, how barbaric! Like someone's burning trash, or there's the burning tire pit, or the tire yard in The Simpsons. It's just a constantly burning mess of tires. And so we joke about these things, but it wasn't that long ago that we thought it was totally okay. Same with slavery, same with native genocide, but I like to point out like the plucky fun things, the lighter things too. I mean, granted, it's still not great burning tires, and we joked about that with The Simpsons. Could you imagine doing that today, like, or even just setting a tire on fire anywhere? They'd think you're like protesting a war or about ready to like really hurt some people or something. And that's why people are a little more on edge too. We've got all these shootings going on. Again, I think it's a negative side effect of too much communication too quickly. Like the throughput kind of caught some people off guard, or maybe it's a frustration of not being able to utilize it because that's a very real thing. I was talking about this, I think one of the last ones. Education, learning. Like everybody wants to learn. It's not something unique. Like everybody wishes that they could do good in school. Everybody wants the gold stars. Like, the pats on the back. And for people that aren't getting that, it's bad because you start getting dragged behind and then you just keep dragging and dragging and then you build up animosity against people that do it, and it's just all bad. We're talking about mental health awareness these days and trying to focus on mental illness, mental wellness, taking care of ourselves both physically and mentally. I mean, we're removing the stigma of it, and therapy too. I've had therapy, and I'll admit it, multiple times. I mean, I know a lot of people in therapy now. Even as recent as not that long ago, I feel like people are still embarrassed by it today. Like, and granted, it's expensive in certain cases, so we need to fix that. We need to make it to where, or at least somewhat funded. I don't know. It's something we got to figure out. And as is, and sorry, I'm thinking about the whole politics thing. So I got a buddy that I'm trying to figure out how to help his situation, and yeah. we won't go down specifics. I don't need to be putting anybody on Front Street, but basically politics. It's dividing us. It's causing a lot of friction. It's causing a lot of inefficiencies in society, and it's causing a lot of headaches. And I think just about everybody's sick and tired of it. And as much as some people like to think that we're coming to a head or we're coming to a boiling point, the red versus blue is just gonna keep going back and forth, at least for a little while. But I feel like we're getting close because we've had some pretty radical presidents lately. I mean, between Trump, Biden, Obama, like I feel like there's been kind of like a wow factor with the last few. I mean, granted, Clinton and Bush, like they seemed more like, or I don't know, I didn't have really much of a frame of reference. And again, these are people that are products of their environment of the times too. So as times change, so do the leaders. Leadership has to change to adapt to the needs of a new society, and that causes a lot of friction there too. Like a bunch of these leaders are trying to do their best, but like, how good can anybody do? Like the world is changing so fast. Like okay, here's an example. Dubai used to not serve alcohol, and I was on the plane going to Germany with a guy from Germany. Well, not with him, we were just talking, and he was like, I was in Dubai 8 years ago. There was one hole in the wall bar, just one hole in the wall bar that would serve alcohol. It was legal, but it was very secret. It was almost like a speakeasy where we used to have bootleggers because alcohol was illegal in America for a while too. It's like we know it's bad when abused, but at the same time, it is a lot of fun and it does do good things. In fact, like wine, I'm pretty sure there's health benefits to wine. Like, in fact, I was talking to a professor that she was actually doing a presentation on just different types of wine, and we were talking about it, and you know, although it was funny, she was like, "I'm not a wine snob," like, and she knew like about wine, but she wasn't fanatical about it, and I feel like that's kind of a growing trend too. And I'm very similar in the fact that I didn't grow up knowing a bunch of athletes' names, because I didn't care. I mean, I was excited for them, I was happy for them, but that was a lot to remember, and I got kind of bored with it. And I feel like part of that was because I was introduced to things like video games and Star Trek. And granted, I didn't watch a lot of Star Trek. I was more Star Wars, because that was like my compromise. Like Star Trek would have been awesome had I had the bandwidth to really follow along with it. Ooh, look at all that wood too. Jeez, we got planks for days. Anyways, and I think that's what like the youngsters today are coming up against is video games are just so accessible. Minecraft, like, and believe me when I say I'm going to keep working on continuing to make it more accessible because people shouldn't win the birth lottery just because they were born in a certain place of the world at a certain time. Like, this should be available to everybody. Everybody should be able to do these fun things and have fun and learn and help each other and grow. And, you know, that's why I love the open source community. Like, Linux. The whole idea behind Linux was it was open source because they didn't want people to spend their life savings trying to learn this trade or use this stuff. It was like, no, Linux is an operating system. You can use these very expensive machines with this free stuff. And I don't know. Then you got things like, like Bill Gates dumpster diving and doing sketchy things to get where he's at. And then, and other people, that's just an easy, like, patsy to point at. And I like Bill Gates, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm really excited for Windows. I've used a lot of his products or the products that his company's done. Like, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, he's as much of a sketchball as anyone. Like, he just had opportunity. So, and I'm not saying go out there and start stealing from people. That's the exact opposite. I'm saying stop committing crimes, because we're at the point now where there's no real point. I mean, unless you're just a kid being a kid and you try like doing something stupid just to impress your friends, which, and even at the end of the day, I feel like kids today, they've already been there, done that, seen it. I mean, ugh, I can't speak for all the situations because puberty and adolescence, that really throws them for a ringer. Like, I mean, because I went through it. I know what, we all do. Now, if you really remember what that's like, it gets nuts. It gets crazy. Like, emotions, assumptions, like, and I can only imagine what it's like today, which is kind of scary because there's so much information and communication, and the throughput is just so high. And what I mean by throughput is the amount of communication traveling at a time. That's what throughput is. So the throughput of like a data connection is, oh, it can download a gigabyte per every hour, or that's just a random thing. And like people, people that I studied computer science with are probably grinding their teeth like, what are you talking about? Like, you should know throughput, like, you know. But it's ever changing. So at the same time, I would tell not a lot of those people, and they wouldn't be that serious. Like, and the people that would know me would be like, oh yeah, he likes to do that, just make generalizations. But to get the point, to get the general gist of things, and then drill down on the points that I need, because at the end of the day, if you're going to try to juggle all of the things, all of the knowledge that you're supposed to have in your head, it's not going to work. You're just going to fail, and then you're going to start like stumbling and sabotaging yourself, and then it does no good. Like, we don't need to know everything. We have computers in our pockets that know everything. Now, we should still know a lot. That's not an excuse to just stop learning, but it's start learning and then being more resourceful. Also, I just realized we haven't been doing any of this, so we don't double up on accident, or there's less likely of a chance that I'll double up on them. So I'm just holding it down. If I go too slow, ooh, we don't have the spacers in between now. All right, do we have any on us? No. I mean, that's fine. I've built worlds where, well, most of the worlds. I feel like I might have done this before once though. Figured this out, been like, oh, how cool, and then forgot about it. But I mean, there's an aha moment. Every day is Christmas if you have horrible short-term memory. No, that's terrible. But, ow, dang it. I didn't set the alarm right. I think I set it for an hour and a half. Yes, I... Wait, what? Oh, it's for the wrong day. My bad. Alright, sorry everybody. That one went way long. 36 minutes. I was wondering about that. I was like, man, this is a... I feel like I've been talking forever. Alright, ta-ta for now. I'll see y'all in the next one.